never started. Because apparently I forgot to press that button. Sorry, I'm a little discombobulated. Give me 1 minute. All right, YouTube should be live. That's my bad. But yes, anyways, long story short, the Go Live tweet is live. Do me the favor, give it some love. And in the meantime, let me grab you guys today's sauce. Listen, I've been using discombobulated from well before Sherlock Holmes did. Or at least Robert Downey Jr. in the Sherlock Holmes movie. And now it's claiming that YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain a smooth streaming experience. There we go. All right, hopefully that refresh fixes YouTube. Discombobulated? Sounds like your teacher was based. Based and boob pilled. Okay. It's still giving me the error. I have no idea how good or bad it is on the YouTube side of things. I am not adding Shining Finger. We were watching a little bit of Gundam Unicorn for stream, but that's not why I'm late. Anyways, like I said, hopefully that's working. Here is today's artwork. Do me the favor, go give the artist some love. I'm gonna post that in the YouTube side of things, but again, someone on YouTube, just let me know if it's bad. I can try to cycle it again, but I have no idea. Unicorn is my favorite UC series. I'm really liking it so far. I can tell that like Unicorn just really kind of like amps it up like right from the get-go. And they're at least to me going a couple directions that they don't normally with the Gundam series. So like from starting and I'm like, damn, it's actually really good. And I'm surprised at how good it is. Thank you for the 50, Ash. Appreciate it. YouTube seems to be working okay now. Good. Although, hold on. Okay, it is seeing the YouTube side of chat. Excellent. Ah. Yes, Gallant Char. What am I doing on JP? I have no idea. It's 50% off. We're gonna continue that. I think I need Shisho? Shisho? Yep, because I'm leveling the new / old Mystic code. That I remembered that I unlocked. Why is today's art lewder with the torn stockings than with the nude thighs? I don't know. Maybe that's like your thing, right? Maybe I just like bare thighs. And maybe I thought that like I was giving you guys the better, like safer one instead of the looter one. It's a psychological thing. It is. I've heard this dual mix before. The only thing I don't like about it is that it actually like it's like one of them is just like delayed. We got to do 3 runs on JP for my dailies. Don't be ungrateful, yes. Yeah, we have the OC4 stream Wednesday morning. I think Trub said it's at like 3:45 a.m. my time, I think. So it's going to be a thing. Ah, sweet. I can probably just card that. Yep. Don't even have to NP. Make it faster. He drops have not been generous this lotto. Yeah, sometimes you just gotta like keep going. I think a lot of people get like super mental about CE drops, and I think one of the best ways to do it is to just kind of like turn brain off and farm. I mean, like obviously you got to pay attention to it when one actually does drop, but in the meantime, just don't pay it any mind. That's my honest to God advice as a 8-year lotto veteran. The more you hyper fixate on it, the longer it's gonna feel like. And there's Mr. Two Love Trouble. One of my mods can get him a shout out. He is going to be the guy that's going to be the go-to for the Ordeal Call 4 live stream. And he brought up some interesting points when I was talking to him at lunch today. He was saying that basically he wouldn't be surprised they talk about anniversary stuff. They talk about the new like campaign that they have for that. Since they're basically doing Under the Same Sky, except I think it's like Over the Same Sky or something. Like it's a very similar campaign, but we'll see if there's anything different, stuff like that. They might announce like ticket sales and everything, so it's definitely going to be an interesting stream for other reasons than just Ordeal Call. What about the thrill of assault when you flex your C drops in Discord chat? You don't want to know. You really don't want to know, because I was bitching to Bob earlier today because I told Bob I hit. Oh God, I should have popped something here. I didn't realize I was going to end up that short. I told Bob like, of course, like I get to max bonus, and then after I get to max bonus chat, I had a string of 4 runs where I got 3 C drops. After I was at max bonus. Then I was like, yep. Seems about right. It's like, just keeps happening. Draco. Oh, yo? Hey, Draco's to 2K now. Shit. Now I gotta figure out who the heck I need a 2K. That's not gonna be easy, because I already have a ton of units on JP. Chat, you guys are about to get so many. Seal done? Nah, I mean, Seal's not even grailed for me. All of my 120s are 2K. What the so maybe Ask or MHX. Go with MHX. You're gonna need it. Since mine's only NP1 on JP. Kat, have you been watching anime this season? Yeah. There's a couple ones I really like. I like Loser Ranger from one of the prior seasons. It's amazing. Highly recommend it. I'm trying to think of what else. I've been watching Gundam GQ. I'm watching Lazarus. Lazarus is okay. It really feels like it's trying too hard to be Cowboy Bebop. Trying to think if there's anything else. Are we getting so many gold foes? Why? Yeah, I'll make a video on it. Don't worry about it. Just pay attention to YouTube. But, so chat. Same guy who made Cowboy Bebop? Yes. One of the reasons I was a little bit late is I was literally like, I was about to go live at like, I think it was like 7:10. So I was already like kind of just not on time anyways. But right as I'm like getting ready to press the button, I got a call from my mother, which I just want to keep you guys in the loop because it's probably going to be a thing. I think I've mentioned it before to you guys on stream, but my grandmother's not doing so hot. She is like 98 years old, so she's getting up there. And she's been not doing too hot for a while. It's just, I don't know. She's my last surviving grandparent. She is probably heading for Heaven's Gate soon. And like she's been not doing so hot. So like my mom called me. Actually, my dad told me at work today that apparently they thought my grandmother suffered a seizure. So that was already not good. And then he said they had been to the hospital, but like, you know, there was no point in me going because like there's not anything anyone can do. And she's not even like really coherent and able to speak. But apparently what they found out is it was not a seizure. And that's what my mom was calling me to tell me, is that it's not a seizure. She's apparently like severely dehydrated. And like she kind of has been in the state of like not wanting to like eat and stuff, I think. But like, I don't know. It like as best we can tell, it's not like she's like quote unquote giving up on life. It's more just like I think she was so dehydrated that like she couldn't eat. She couldn't move. She couldn't do stuff. Which a little bit makes me kind of angry because my grandmother stays with my aunt. And I'm just like, what the heck is my aunt doing? Right. So I don't know. I mean, I get to an extent, it's like when people get old like that, it's like it's difficult to make them do anything. But it's one of those deals where it's like, I don't know how my grandmother got to such a state. Like they literally had to take her to the emergency room because she collapsed. And like I said, they thought it was a seizure. So it's like, that's pretty bad when you get dehydrated to that point. Right. So just keep her, if you're somebody who's religious, keep her in your prayers for me. But yeah, it's just like, I don't know. She's been having increasing like basically since the turn of the year here, she's been having increasing like health scares. So I get the feeling it's not too much longer, but it is what it is. She's apparently gonna be okay. They're keeping her in like kind of critical care for the next 3 days as I guess they have to like rehydrate her and they can't do it quickly. And she's so old that they can't like just kind of not keep her under pretty much constant supervision. So it is what it is. But like I said, I'll let you guys know if something happens with regards to that, because it'll probably be a day that I'll have to cancel stream or something. So it is what it is. But yeah, that's why I ran a little bit late today. Work's been kind of shit as well. It's not been like super great. You guys know I'm still working extended hours. It sucks. I hate it. I'm so freaking done with my job. I just basically want to quit. But there's not, I can't. Like my dad needs me. I need the job. It is what it is. But I'm so like fed up with it and tired of it. So, but I'll get through it. We understand completely. Yeah. And then in the meantime, we have Lotto, we have Ordeal Call, we have a whole lot of stuff coming up. So it be what it be. At least you can crit that down. Wild that like I can't NP it to death, but I can crit it to death. Oh, looks like I leveled up the Mystic Code at least. And I think that's my third run. Yeah, I was surprised that Sawano did the unicorn like opening and ending. I don't know if that was his first Gundam one or not. Are you going to get a copy of MHX on JP? I already have a copy on JP. I just only have the one, which is my issue at the moment. Did I do all 3 of my runs? Yes. We'll leave that for right now. I'm basically just slow rolling JP at the moment. Like I said, we got a real call later this week. And chat, welcome to 90++. Sora, thank you for the 15. Appreciate it. Hope you're doing good today. Oh, almost forgot that. You guys are probably going to get me to scuff a bunch. I had to drop to 90+ for this round. Did he ever answer my question about his box count at the start of stream? I did not. Oh, wait, hold on. I told you guys you're probably going to get me to scuff. And Yasiru, enjoy your gift sub. I'm doing the Cascadel setup for now. Yeah. So the thing that I forgot is it's supposed to go like that. This is a 5 NP comp. I could do a 4 NP comp if I had Janako, but I can't. Once I get enough Rainbow Silk. I have a 4-button 90+. Oh yeah? Which one? He said the curse name. What? What curse name? Oh, Janako? No, I mean, I could say Janako's name. I just don't want to say it while I'm rolling. I'm not an idiot, chat. Yeah, it doesn't matter. I can talk about Janako. That is correct. Bob is 100% correct. Except in this case. I don't even need the Mystic Code. So close to being able to 6-slot, but not quite. Yeah. You'll get Janako while rolling for Seal? Probably. Crit every time? Nice. Alright, Bob, you ready? Get your calculator ready. Now chat's getting it. Now chat's getting it. It's okay. I don't blame anyone's brain for stopping. So the reason that I say that 6 slotting the 90 plus plus is not better, chat, y'all have seen just how slow this comp is. But we have a difficult choice to make. And that choice, chat, is that if I do the other node, while it is faster, there's a downside to it. And chat's not going to like it. Age figured it out. And I'm just not going to give chat that satisfaction. So it is what it is, chat. Go down to the 90 then? I mean, I could. I'm at max bonus, so it is the thing. The difference is there is a efficiency drop doing the 90. How's the stream going? I apologize for asking you this, but when do you accept us to get when do I expect you to get the bleached quests? It should happen like literally right after the event ends. All right, let's try to do this run as fast as I can. I haven't done any of the CQs yet either. There we go. Did they fix the roll bug yet? As far as I've heard, no. The CQs are really easy. Yeah, it's why I haven't even thought about the CQs. They're legitimately so not hard that I'm just like, fuck it, I'll get done with my farming first. They're more like puzzles than anything. Yep. I told you guys they were. Like if you guys watch my event guide, I basically told you it's like this is the easiest set of CQs they've ever done in a lotto, and I'm all for it. Like I'm a firm believer that the lotto basically should not include CQs. Okay? And I say this as somebody that like I don't mind there being like one CQ, right? But the problem with doing anything more than say that is that it just naturally diverts your time away from farming. And that does feel like that's why the devs do it. And it's one of the reasons that I just don't like it. It feels like it's not there to actually pose a challenge so much as most of the time they're there to waste your time. So the fact that they gave us easier ones, I'm all for. But I mean, like in the past, we also had them literally come out and say, it's like, hey, yeah, we acknowledge that people don't want the CQs in this. And then that's how we got Shisho Fest with a Grail front instead. And then they have since never done that ever again. Why aren't I doing the Draco comp? Let me take a look. I don't remember. Because I have to bond either my own Castaway or my own Oberon for that. I mean, I guess in theory I don't, but no, I would. I would still have to bond one of them. So I looked at that and I just went like, eh. But it is what it is. I'm still bonding my own Castoria with this, so you're probably not wrong. I probably should just go ahead and try it. We can do it if you guys want. Actually, no, yeah, that comp is way worse. Damn, he didn't crit. I was really hoping they'd get me out of that. I mean, you're bonding Castoria here. Right, but the issue with the Draco comp, okay, is that I have to do 3 MPs turn 1, 2 MPs turn 2, and 1 MP turn 3. As opposed to this comp, I just have to do 3 MPs turn 1 and then 1 each of the other turns. So I'm basically adding another MP to it. Granted, you can see the issue here. Both of my scuffs have come on. I just totally forgot to press all the NPs. And this is exactly why I keep saying, like, it doesn't matter how efficient this is. These nodes suck. And I tried to warn everybody about it, and everybody and their brother kept being like, no, I'm going to do it. And I'm like, I think y'all have learned. It takes me basically triple the amount of time it takes me to do another run. And if you want, I can show it to you, chat. I'm almost at 1,000 claws in the 90 plus. I believe it. Yeah, I might be able to do it with less. I don't know. Oh, gong comps suck. I mean, like, if they're all you have, go for it, but they are just extremely slow usually. I thought that was a drop for a second there. I do too on my old phone. I believe it. All right, chat. Behold. Behold, chat. What the fuck? Yeah, here you go. Boom, 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 boom. And there you go. I told you guys, this is why you don't ask me what comp I'm using. I will always figure out another comp to do. Unless the comp that we came up with is legitimately so damn good that I can't optimize it anymore. Now, unfortunately, I can't show you guys the final wave, but I can show you what I would do in the final wave, which is that. What final wave? Yep. Buckle sandwich. Thank you for the follow. Appreciate it. We're already doing the next one, chat. Wait, she does enough damage? Yeah, so fun fact, chat, Lalter has the upgrade to her third skill now, which is anti-lawful and anti what is it? Anti-lawful and good, yeah. Now, the weird part about doing things this way, chat, is you'll never know if I actually scuff. That's going to be the problem. So efficient it is. This is a fast comp. It's not like a 4-button press. I don't know what someone was saying was the 4-button press earlier, but this works. I'm so glad 90 plus is 2 ways. Yeah. I just resorted to the cuckoo comp from the sheet. Understandable. What if we did it like this? Do you think Pretender Liz is underrated? Yes. Yes, Pretender Liz is actually pretty decent. Pretty damn decent. There you go, chat. We'll just disappear the node for the sake of subliminal messaging. And by subliminal, I mean not at all. There's nothing subliminal about this. Okay? I believe you're gonna scuff. If we can't see it, it won't hurt us. Exactly. I mean, you can use your Melisson here. I don't know why you would bother. Like, in the sense that there's legitimately, like, plenty of other things you guys can do. What are the odds we get another Halloween this year or something new again? Well, I think you could. I don't think that's crazy. But you can see it's like the thing I like about this is other than the Mystic Code, everything's just turn one. I just go right down the line and done. I need more coins from L. That's fine. Any hopes for OC4? Probably a like. How do I want to put this? Because I don't. I'm hoping for a like I'm hoping for a new form of Janu with basically maybe some offense somehow, some way. I'm hoping for some ruler stories to get developed. I would actually love to see a lot of the rulers get tapped here, but we'll see. In particular, I really want to see Holmes pull it out of his ass and reveal that he hasn't been dead, because that's probably a thing, and it's been foreshadowed to all hell whether or not chat believes it or not. So my prediction is that Moriarty is probably the prosecutor against us, young Moriarty, and that we're probably going to have something. We're probably going to be in a tribunal. There's going to be 3 judges. Moriarty's going to be the prosecutor, or maybe one of the judges. And Holmes is going to show up at the last second and bail us out, because he's going to reveal that he's not dead. And this is something that has been basically like not only foreshadowed by Sherlock Holmes' own story, where he goes over the falls at Reichenbach and turns out he's not dead. And also it's been foreshadowed by Murder at the Kogetsuken, which they gave us way, way earlier, if chat remembers. And if you guys remember the reason, I was talking with Trubs about this weekend, but if chat remembers the reason why Holmes faked his death at Murder at the Kogetsuken, it was because he needed to be able to operate unseen. And if chat remembers the events of story, there's definitely somebody that has their eye on Holmes. So it makes sense that Holmes would fake his death at Reichenbach. One hell of a Chekhov's gun, if true. I think it's actually really predictable. Like, unfortunately, I may be giving away some of the story. That's the problem. Like, I really do think that's going to be a thing. We give Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney as a servant. No, but don't be surprised to have Holmes object, like, suddenly as he appears. And everyone goes like, wait, we thought you were dead. But it's one of those deals where it's like, they saved Ruler for last. You can't tell me that they're not going to pull Holmes out. Or Rasputin, yes. Holmes coming back shouldn't be a shock, yeah. My death was greatly exaggerated, yep. So that's what I hope for the story. There's a couple of other bigger brain theories, but I'm not sure if they qualify as like true actual spoilers because of things that I've figured out that NA may or may not have figured out yet. If that makes sense. Estrella's probably involved. It's really hard to have, you know, the scales of justice on prominent display, and it's a ruler-centric thing, and then it's like, oh, we don't involve the goddess of justice, right? Now, see, chat. This is how I'm already at like 300 and how much was I at, chat? 385. It's this. This is easy. I don't have to bond any of my supports, and I'm using 3 units I don't normally use. And it just works. I say don't normally use. I definitely use Lalter, but like Lalter had some bond to spare, so we're doing it. Do you still have apples to burn? Yeah, I haven't used a single rainbow. I probably will have to before all is said and done, but that's gonna be probably a like end of the journey type thing. In fact, if I really wanted to, I could probably roll out my boxes before I did that and prevent myself from doing it. But with at least the way things currently are, until they fix the boxes entirely, I can't really do that. He's already got a job. I've explained to you guys before, right? Like if you guys have ever come in there at my lunch break, I'm usually watching anime. On top of that, like recently here, I've been grinding. And then on top of that, I'm probably also playing a game. So working and grinding at the same time, yeah, it's easy. In the same way that it's easy for me to talk to you guys and do all of this stuff. Like, I don't know. I don't think I always used to be this way, but I think streaming made me this way. I'm now at the point where it's like, I always have to be doing something. And it bothers me if I'm not. So it'd be what it be. The reason I'm showing you that, by the way, chat, the reason I'm showing you the third wave and me operating the skill is so that you know I'm not scuffing it. You have all appends Lord? No. Well, like, what do you mean? Like for these? I can show you the comp. I've never encountered the box plug and I'm at 150. That's fine. I don't need the damage C, so it's why I'm just kind of doing it. And here's the comp, chat. I mean, I have a lot of MLBs, so that definitely helps. Although technically, like in this comp, Lalter's actually overkill. She's at 130% charge. So if you didn't have an MLB, you would be at 110%, which would mean you would only need her middle append unlocked. And it would still work. That's cheating. He's running max MLB. Damn. Chat, I didn't get max bonus until I was like over 300 boxes in. So it is what it is. I mean, cheating on the third wave? You're damn right. Listen, I've learned. Don't ever give chat ammo. What's the minimum MP for Lalter in this comp? I don't know. You could probably get away with a lot. You could probably get away with a lot. Because, like, for instance, I'm not even touching this skill, which just gives me the ability to, like, crit everything with these, with, like, any of her cards. So you could probably get away with a whole lot more. Like, I think the original comp this is based off of is an MP2. And that's probably pretty close. Now, what I will say, and this is the other shocking thing. Chat, who do you think I have the level 100 CE on? Because I have one, but who do you think it's on? Yeah, it's on Ozzy. Because I only have an NP2 Ozzy, so it's just like he works for this, and his NP is really fast. In fact, I think each one of these is roughly an 8-second NP. So none of them have slow NPs. None of them. I think Liz is the longest. I think hers is actually like 9 seconds. I just have plus 12 at almost 200 boxes. Yeah. 200 is a little early, but it's definitely like I've hit it at that point before too. He needs the extra damage. Yep. All at 90 plus plus. Need is a strong word. I just got to plus 11 at 254. That I believe. It was weird because like it was pretty much right after my lunch break. I was sitting on 11 and I basically just said, wait, hold on. Let me just keep farming. And then that's like I literally just had everything drop after that point. And it's been wild. Like I think I've gotten like something like 12 drops plus today. So they all kind of arrived late. And most of those were after I got max bonus. So it be what it be. Why are you tabbing out whenever Lalter MPs? Were you talking about Lalter's not MPing? I'm kindly asking Squirtle and Mixa to go away. And then what they're actually doing is they're actually turning on the mechanical puppet and killing it for me. He's bribing them with food. Yeah. Or, you know, like something else they could suck on. Popsicles, yes. Yeah, popsicles. Something to help cool them down in the Florida heat. I'm at 9 bonus right now with about 200 boxes. Nice. Is this like the last challenge quest on JP and Avalon? Yeah, you could say that. It's a very similar thing. I didn't expect that to come in. But it's also like I'm showing this to chat so that chat knows I'm not scuffing. Chat gets to see me press all the skills, so. And I will show chat. Scout's honor. Even though I wasn't a Boy Scout. Yeah, the only thing I really have to do, there's 2 requirements in this composition in order not to scuff. Technically a third, but honestly the third is less important. So the first is that Eliza's first skill must happen first before her others. And the second is Ozzy's third skill must happen first before the others. That's it. Because even if I don't pop the Mystic Code, my Lalter probably still kills. So let's get the master missions of X Servants at X Bond Ascension skill upgrade. On who you spin the Grail foes. Wait, I'm confused. But what are you trying to ask? Yeah, usually what I do is I start the node by pressing Ozzy's third skill, and then I immediately just start on Eliza's first skill and go all the way to the right. Like, you guys will see that. Yeah, I know what he's talking about. I'm not sure what he's asking. See, so like boom, 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 boom. I do it so fast that like the skills don't even really fully pop up. But it's just me going down the line. So I start with all these skill and I just go down the line. That's what I've learned. And it's become muscle memory at this point, and I can do it without even looking at it. So it is what it is. Maybe who I'm using them on? I don't know. We're going to get a lot of grails, a lot of gold foes. So I'll probably talk about that because I plan to make, like, y'all saw I basically made like a PSA video for like, hey, these are the nodes you guys should try to do. I will probably do another PSA video just talking about like, hey, you've got all of this coming. Pay attention. Oh, almost didn't press the button. Then chat would have seen me kill them, which definitely isn't happening. Thank you for the video. Yeah, it's no problem. That's kind of what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to keep chat appraised because this is a like difficult time for FGO. We've got a lot of new mechanics on NA coming up. And who knows what JP is doing? Like, JP is going to have... It's why, like I said, like, I'm trying to get the lotto done before JP basically gets Ordeal Call. Because shit's going to get weird with Ordeal Call 4. Like, we are literally going to have... obviously, the story itself, which will just be hype and probably have a lot of stuff going on, like... new characters, maybe even upgrades for characters. And then I won't be surprised if we see a new mechanic in Ordeal Call 4. And we definitely will be getting new mechanics after Ordeal Call 4 with the Grail, or not the Grail, the Grand system. So it's going to be a thing. There's definitely going to be a lot of stuff upcoming to cover for JP. And then combining that with NA going through its transition into Ordeal Call, it's definitely going to be a thing. Are we getting the Grand System now, or is that later? We are getting the Grand System after Ordeal Call 4. So something tells me it's probably contingent upon you completing it. Which makes sense, right? Like, one, it's something that they don't want to release until after that story is out. And two, they probably want it to be yet another, like, incentive to complete story and to get up to date. So I've talked about this before. I'm really not sure what their plans are for the Grand System. Obviously, it's going to have something to do with the end of Ordeal Call and the end of all of Part 2. But it's like, I legitimately wonder, like, what's going on? Like, are they going to do more with it in the future? Because if it's just like something that for like, say, like the next 8 months is a thing, it's like, okay, that was cool. But then like, what's the point of it after this? So something tells me they're going to have to do more, which is honestly, the Grand System's kind of a weird thing to give us. I'm just going to be real with y'all. Because a little bit, if you wanted to have a doomer take on things, you could definitely look at it and say, well, Nasu has made prior statements about not wanting to like go to space with the story and stuff like that. So then it's like, why then in theory do we need Grands running around after that point? If we resolve the Grand Order and we quote unquote fix time, why are we going to need Grands again? So it makes me wonder at that point. Can Grands have an HP and attack boost? I don't know. Couldn't tell you. I mean, like, the biggest thing that we know at this point is that it will allow you to use their Bond C concurrently with another craft essence. So that's already a pretty big upgrade, and I have an entire video talking about that. Milestones for reaching Bond 10, maybe. Cuckoo and Tiamat Lancer for this node? Yeah, there's a lot of stuff you can do for this. Grand should get a shiny card border. I do think they should do some interesting stuff with it, but it really also does depend. Like, is the Grand just a gimmick for like a handful of fights upcoming in the story, or is it a new mechanic that is here to stay? I don't know. That's what I'm trying to say, chat. Like, I can't tell you what the potential outcome of this is because it's anyone's guess. Feels weird if they make it only for one fight. Yeah, I agree. And so it's like, something tells me they have to do it for more, but I think the Doomer would say it's like, no, it really is just for this, and FGO is ending, right? Like, which I don't think is actually the case. Like, I don't think the Doomer take on this would actually be right, but we'll see. Is party cost going to limit us? We don't know, Hotkick. Like legitimately, all we know about the Grand system is that it's a new system. You'll be able to have 1 Grand of each class, and the Grand will be capable of using their CE, like their Bond CE, alongside a normal CE. The requirement to be a Grand is that they're level 100 with all their maxed out skills. That's it. So it's like we legitimately don't know anything more than that at the moment. And they might talk about it. We'll see. We might get some tidbits from the stream Wednesday. Make sure you guys check out Mr. Two Love Trouble. You know nothing we don't know until they tell us. Yep. So it's like, I can try my damnedest to speculate, but almost. Almost, chat. I got going so fast I lost track of the node. Which is very easy to do. How many times Nasu will mention the end? Oh, Nasu's probably going to talk a whole lot about it this year with Famitsu. Like, it's just going to be, it's ending, the end, ending, end. FGO, everything comes to an end. Prepare yourself for the end. We're going to get the end. The end. Like, yeah, he's going to spitball it 100 times. Don't worry about it. It's just Nasu. Like, I'm gonna be real with y'all. The fact that Takeuchi said we'll be celebrating an 11th anniversary is already, like, no matter how badly Nasu wants to, like, sit there and, like, gaslight everyone into thinking that the story is ending and the game is ending, Takeuchi just let that shit out of the bag. And I thank Takeuchi. Thank God for him. Takeuchi is based. Like, because I'm dead serious when I say this, but it's like, if not for like comments like that, we would legitimately have nothing other to go on other than to believe Nasu and just be like, oh, well, Nasu said it, therefore it is. And then we'd all just be assuming that Nasu's right. Someone will take that to heart. Yeah, and like, I'm gonna be real. I don't blame anybody that has like gotten fed up with the game and the developers over time when you have Nasu having comments like that. Like, it is what it is. I love Nasu. I love his stuff. But come on, man. It would be like if I just constantly kept saying I'm going to quit streaming over and over and over again, and then people just like started leaving the stream. It's like, of course they would. I wouldn't blame them, right? Like, at that point, it's just, it's what you expect. Some people are just gonna be like, well, this dude's not going to be around for a long time. I'm just going to go somewhere else. I'm going to go find greener pastures. So it's like, it's the same thing with a game. It's the same thing with a novel. It's the same thing with a movie series. Like, it doesn't matter. If somebody's sitting there talking about it ending, people are just going to give up on it. It's just how it always is. Yeah, Bob commits Sudoku because Bob's a math guy. I wish, Hot King, but unfortunately part 3 is going to require way more planning and execution than that, which, like, to some degree, you almost just have to assume that they're either already working on it and have been, or we're in for a very, very, very long stall. I'm going to say this, though, chat. Personally, I think they're done stalling now. Like, I actually think that. Because did you guys notice how... Yeah, I think it was last anniversary with Ordeal Call 3 coming up. Finally, they started just talking about how, yeah, hey, the end is coming. They kept, like, if you guys remember, they kept being like, no, there's so much more to do. There's so much more, like stuff still in Ordeal Call and Lost Belt. Like, no, the end is not happening anytime soon. And then last anniversary, they basically said, no, now it actually is over. Like it's gonna end. It's gonna end by the end of 2025. So it's like, you noticed that tone shift in what they were saying, and then that meant it's like, okay, now they're sure of their schedule. Now they're not gonna keep stalling anymore. They're just gonna basically keep kind of doing everything and just kind of plow right through the content that they have, which tells me that they've probably figured out part 3 and they're ready to go into actual production on it. And part of me wonders if that was like, Nasu's been tied up on other projects, so they weren't ready to, or they simply didn't have a good idea or good execution behind the scenes. So it's like they basically were still trying to figure some stuff out before they actually did. Part 3 every... Yeah, I mean, I doubt that. It'll be really interesting to see what a part 3 is and whether or not they continue as they have with like the schedule pace that FGO has kept. Because in a weird way, FGO is getting pretty slow. And yet that slowness is still really fast compared to some other games. That slowness is slow only relative to FGO in the way it used to be. So a little bit, it really does make me wonder, you know, have they dealt with the issues that were causing them to slow down, or can we just expect more of the same? I don't know. Personally think Takeuchi might be taking over for part 3 as the main person for it. I don't think so. For starters, Nasu and Takeuchi are always a pair. And secondly, any project that Nasu wants to do, he requires Takeuchi for. So he can't just strand Takeuchi as being the dude in like basically in charge of part 3. I think they'll either keep Mr. 2 on and he will become the director of part 3 as well, or they will find a new person to be the director of part 3. But I don't think it'll be Nasu or Takeuchi. They'll still be involved, but I don't think any of them is going to head up the development team. Did Nasu say he might take a step back after part 2, or am I imagining that? Nasu said a lot of stuff, particularly that like he was kind of like all the way back, I think as early as like year 3, Nasu was talking about how he wanted to be like done with the game. So it is what it is. He's talked about that before though, and said that like a lot of those negative comments come from his schedule just being so busy, and that he really does know and appreciate like how good the game is, and like that they have captured lightning in a bottle. So I don't expect him to give it up. He hasn't given it up yet. But we'll see. Like it's anybody's guess what happens for part 3 at this point until they talk about it more. Do you think we would go right into part 3 or not? I personally do, but it wouldn't be crazy for them to be like, hey, here's Epic of Remnant. See, mentally, I think we all attribute Ordeal Call to being like this like Lost Belts version of Epic of Remnant, but it may not be from the devs' perspective. So it really just depends. Why would they let it go just like that? So you're thinking like a player, or like a corporate bigwig, or like a stockholder. You're not thinking like a writer. You're not thinking like a creator. Are they getting money off of this? Hell yeah. Is it a lot of money? Hell yeah. Chat, I'd go so far as to say that like Nasu and Takeuchi are probably made for life now. If they weren't already, they definitely are now by FGO. Okay? So when you consider that, it's entirely possible that they just want to go retire. It's entirely possible that they've had a good run, they've had a good ride, and they want to like live out the rest of their days on a luxury yacht drinking mimosas or something. But I will say this. I do think that regardless, they want to stick around. And I think that a lot of the frustrations that Nasu has had have been time frustrations. And I do think that over time, he's actually getting better about it. I think he was somebody, and hear me out, chat. I am Nasu. I know. It's pretty shocking. I am Nasu. Okay? What I mean when I say this is, I am just like him. To some degree. In the sense that Nasu is definitely somebody that I think lives by the same mentality that I live. Which is that if you want something done right, you're going to have to do it yourself. It's the, yes, you can ask for help. Yes, you can try to get people to help you out along the way. But at the end of the day, they're not going to be able to do it the way you want, or they're going to let you down in some way. So you need to do it yourself. And that's the exact same problem I have. It's the problem of being able to delegate. It's less of a like control freak thing. It's not like, oh man, I have to be in charge of everything. It's more like a quality thing. you really want to see the things that you're trying to do done right and done kind of like justly, okay? And you worry about that, and you basically are, it's almost like the issue isn't being in control, the issue is being a perfectionist. It really is like just wanting to see everything done to the utmost degree and it being done correctly. So I think that's the way it is for him too, and I suspect that is one of the reasons he has a hard time delegating. But where I see him get better over time is I think he actually does manage to find and establish new relationships, kind of build new bridges, and find people that he actually can trust to handle things for him. He hasn't been able to do it for everything, but I do see signs that he's been able to do it more than he had in the past, and I think that's actually helped him out a lot. It's an issue of taking pride in what you do. Yeah, and I mean, like, phrasing it that way makes it sound like it's like, ooh, pride, pride is bad. Pride cometh before the fall. And it's like, yeah, and if you don't have pride, you have shit. Like, you do, it's like taking pride in your work type of deal. It's the mentality of like, yeah, you just want to put your best foot forward. And like I said, I think that's how Nasu is. And that's the same degree how I am in a lot of aspects. So I do understand that. I understand why it's hard for him. And I understand how difficult it can be to find the right people. You guys have seen it with the channel. It's like we're definitely rolling a little bit better now. Things are kind of getting back on track. But it's only been because I've found certain people to surround myself with that are making my life easier and are making it so that I can do more things for you guys and with you guys to actually make the channel a better place. And it's working. I like it. And I'm happy for it. Limited income of rare prisms. I mean, you're never going to get rare prisms if you're not a whale. Like you'll get what they give you and that's it. And it's never going to be enough. Pride is just like a loads of things, fine in moderation, bad in excess. Yes. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to say this. I've talked about this numerous times with other people, okay? It's clear. It's 100% without a doubt in my mind, absolutely irrefutably clear. All of part 2's major story points were already conceived and planned before the game even ever began. All of them. Okay? Now, that doesn't mean that they had all the minutia, that all the singularities and stuff were already written and all that. No. But they absolutely had storyboarded and figured out what they wanted to do with the game's story. And that is why I think when you see Nasu make comments about like, hey, we're gonna end part 2 and then we'll see how everyone feels after the end. If they want more, we can give them more. And I know how I'll do that. Chat, that was Lost Belt ending with part 7, and him giving us more is Ordeal Call. So we already passed that check. The check was, does the fan base actually want more? And the answer is yes. Nasu has given us 2.5 years of Ordeal Call, and I believe they're now ready to drop part 3 on us. And that's why they finally said, all right, enough stalling. We're going to announce the end. Here it comes. Get ready. So I think a lot of it is just, they knew what they needed to do, but I don't think part 3 ever was planned. It doesn't mean that Nasu won't tie it in. It doesn't mean that he won't make it like really good or something like that. But I think all of part 1 and all of the major points of part 2 were. Oops. Drop, chat. Drop and give me 20, chat. Almost there. Like 3 more runs, I think. 3 more runs and we are at 400 boxes, chat. You can also do this. You can go backwards, but then the problem is you have to remember to start with the front of Ellie. Still my drop. You just watch Saberface violence produce a drop? No. No, they gladly handed it over. There was no violence involved. You're not being judged as the most broken and illegal of extra classes? Oh, don't worry. And, like, it was funny because I talked with Trubs over the weekend, and, like, me, him, and a couple of the other people of VIP had a big sit down, and we were, like, theory craft, and we were talking about the Ordeal Call trailer, and it was so funny because, like, there's definitely some stuff there. And I think I know how part 2 ends. I think I know exactly what's going on and basically what the final outcome will be. But because we haven't touched Ordeal Call yet on an A chat, I can't talk to you about that. Not at all. I almost showed it. I realized that. I almost showed it. Chat almost got me. Yeah. No, Chad, that doesn't count as a scuff. Would that have counted as a personal scuff? If I show you her dying, I will count it as a scuff. What am I trying to hide? That's a good question. What am I trying to hide, chat? I think part 2 is basically the end of Mash's story. We'll see, right? Like, all I'm trying to say is I believe... And so that you guys can maybe like read in between the lines of what I'm saying. I'm saying Nasu had all of the character arcs, all of the story arcs planned out. Nasu knew. Oh, Wrath. Thank you for the 16. Appreciate it, my dude. Chat, can we get some love for Wrath? So, like, basically what I'm trying to say is that all of this was planned. And I think maybe like Ordeal Call was an addendum that he added on after the fact, but I do think to a large degree a lot of this was still in the works. Now, hear me out on this. That I think is the reason why Nasu seemingly is like talking about the end and how like people need to be prepared for the end. He's both simultaneously trying to hype it up, trying to really make it like dramatic, but also at the same time what Nasu is attempting to do is Nasu is trying to almost convey this sense of like, I think Nasu's ready to be done if we'll let him be, because I think that's all he planned originally. He planned part 1 and part 2. He did not plan part 3. He did not plan on the game being this successful, that it would continue to just keep going in perpetuity. So I think in that point, he was trying to think like, okay, well, it's been like 10 years now. Surely it's been long enough. We can end it. And everyone is like, no. So I think that's his problem, is he wants to end it, but it's so popular, it's so successful that everybody else around him is telling him, what are you, an idiot? No, don't end it. But to understand where Nasu's coming from and why Nasu is probably right, Nasu is coming from the writer's perspective, where it's like a story that drags on too long is not a good story. A story that ends when it's supposed to is a good story. So I think Nasu knows that, and he's kind of conflicted as to like what to do about it. So I think he will continue it on, but we'll see. We'll see if it's a true continuation or if it's like the start of a completely brand new arc. Again, people have proposed like, what if the main characters die? What if we get like new characters? I don't know. I couldn't tell you, but it is a interesting thought process. And it'll be interesting to see what Nasu does, because to my knowledge, Nasu doesn't really do sequels too much. He doesn't do the follow-up really. It's definitely something where he's done it some, but I can't say he's ever done like multiple concurrent arcs like that without taking long periods off in between them and coming back to write them later. No, JC, I'm going to tell you, I can when part 2 is done, I will prove it to you, chat. I will prove it to you, okay? Because people keep trying to be like, no, they didn't plan it. They planned it. It was always planned. You can see it. It's so hilarious when you point it out. Nasu has the opposite problem of JRRM. Yeah, I mean, I think to a large degree he shares a lot of his problems, but I think Nasu is way more of a workaholic is his issue. Yeah. And that's what I'm trying to say is I think part 1 and part 2 are what was originally planned. So part 3 was not. And I think that's a little bit why Nasu panicked and was like, I don't know, I don't want the game to go on beyond this. Because I think it's like, he knows. He knows it was not part of the original plan. And again, I'm not trying to say it's like, oh, they had everything absolutely like planned down to the smallest, most minute detail. They did not. They just had the major plot points planned. L-Dubs, thank you for the 29, buddy. How you doing? Wajoom. Yeah, it could be that this is the end of Mash and Gouda's arc. I don't know. This will be a really, really interesting thing to see. Because as a writer, there is definitely logic to ending it. But as a writer, there's also logic to keeping it going. And the thing you guys got to understand about a writer is, for a writer, you already know the end. So you know how we have like Machiavellianism, where it's like the ends justify the means? And then you have the inverse of that, which I don't remember what it's called, but it's like, it's basically what matters is the journey, right? It's how you get to the end. Writers are almost always the latter. What matters is how you get to the end. And the reason why a writer isn't Machiavellian is because the writer already knows the end. They usually know it before they set out. There are some writers who don't. I don't know how those writers do it, but most of them, I think, have a pretty good idea of how they want their story to flow. And so then from there, they start putting pen to paper and they actually start trying to like write it all down and be like, okay, this is how it's going to go. So they start out really high level, really top, and they go, all right, these are the points I want to hit in my story. This is the type of story I want to tell, right? And then they kind of get down in there and they try to like fill in the guts. The author had an actual endpoint, but the series blew up so much that they insisted he continue it. But the arc following the school is subpar. He hadn't planned to continue past that point. Yeah, that does make me worried a little bit for part 3, that it's like maybe part 3 is not super like, all right, no, I'm going to go ahead and say this, chat. Unless part 3 is its whole, like on its own, its whole contained arc, part 3 will be subpar. How do I mean? Because the one issue with this is, if it is a self-contained arc, then it will develop and be able to be treated as such. But if it is part of a bigger arc, again, then you'll end up being like, wait, what is this? Why am I set back to like square one and it doesn't feel like I'm getting very much? It doesn't feel like things are developing at the rate that I maybe would have expected them to. because it's a little bit maybe the same deal with part 1 and part 2 of FGO, because they purposely leave things out there as teasers for the next bit. It does make you wonder. That being said, Nos is a really good writer, so it is what it is. I'm not saying part 3 will be bad, but I can see people immediately jumping on it and being like, this is dull, this is boring, because Nos is going to have to do setup again. He's going to have to do world building again. And that's something that he hasn't really had to do in a long time because it's already been built. So people aren't going to be used to that, and they're going to start thinking that it's somehow like inferior, but it really won't be. Let Nasu cook. Yeah, pretty much. And thank you for the 5. Appreciate it, Cody. Part 3 account reset, dude. If they reset everyone's account for part 3, the game would die. I'm just gonna go ahead and say that, like, straight up. Yeah, they can't do a hard reboot. Hard reboot is everyone. You congratulations. You now pissed off everybody that had been playing the game. The expansion afterwards was disliked. Yeah. I'm gonna say this though. Dead serious on this. That's not because, like, oh, it's inevitable because the prior one ended. A lot of that is just because, like, they didn't do a good job with the one after it, right? Like, people have a tendency to be like, oh, this is an inevitable sort of thing because it's coming after the big, like, story conclusion and stuff like that. Whereas the reality is, a lot of the time, the new concepts that they put in are different, and they're not as enjoyed as the old concepts were. But Nasu has a whole lot of ground that he knows. Like, this is the one good part about him, because he's already been writing visual novels for like 20 plus years prior to this. He has a whole lot of ground he can still continue to cover, where he has proven concepts that he knows people will already like. All he has to do is tap into one of those and do something a little bit different with it, and people will love it. Yeah, exactly, Cal. There were definitely changes made to LB6. So that's what I'm trying to say. It's like, it's not like they didn't decide to do different things with the stuff once they actually sat down to write the individual, like, singularities. It's just that, to me, they already had the major arcing points of what they were going to do. FGO2 will be like Overwatch 2. So, underwhelming and a cash grab. There we go, chat. We are over 400. I only have 60,000 more to get. As a writer, who would I compare Nasu to? As a writer, I don't know. Each writer is usually their own unique thing. So, like, honest to God, I don't know. I don't know what it would be. Because, like, no, so allow me, chat. I don't think you can compare any gacha game writer to Nasu. And if you try to, it probably means that gacha game writer ripped Nasu off. Sorry, it is what it is. But, like, at this point, Nasu's style is pretty unique, and I would characterize it by a very, like, bombastic sensationalist. Like, it's something to the effect of, like, he always has a tendency to really hyper elevate moments so that they seem more dramatic than they otherwise would be. And then he does that sort of to rug pull you. It's like, oh, he makes it seem like something is impossible, and then the impossible becomes possible. And so he does that because he knows it's going to be like an amazing moment, a cathartic moment for the reader that's just going to make them go like, wow, that was crazy. So it's like, that's something Nasu has always done. He's done it since the very beginning, and it's present in literally all of his writing. And that's why I say, like, to a degree, I don't really know of anybody else that does it the exact same as him. Because most others they'll try to hype up a moment. There's plenty of people that'll try to like sensationalize a moment and make it seem super impactful, right? And you might even get a character saying like, I don't think we can do it. We're going to fail. This is impossible. But that is different than the like inner monologue or the narration straight up telling you it's impossible. And that is what Nasu does. Nasu presents fact, and then Nasu destroys his own fact, which is wild. He's really good at writing the slice of life down moments in between the action. Yeah, that too. Normally, you don't see that. Normally, people are very good. Like, I think I'm pretty decent at being able to write action. Writing slice of life is not easy for me. And I think if you can do both, you're definitely a good writer. Nasu and breaking his own rules, yeah. It's done on purpose. And there's nothing wrong with it. Like I said, like where I've gotten upset with it is more... And I'm still unsure if it's a like translation issue from like LB6 and stuff, right? But there are certain things that are presented as fact in LB6 that everyone tries to treat as fact. But if this were literally any other chapter, people would just go ahead and declare that there was something wrong with it. But for some reason, LB6 mind fucks people into thinking that everything presented in LB6 is 100% the truth, which is wild when you consider the fact that the actual theme of LB6 is lies. So I'm not sure why people treat LB6 as if it's all 100% accurate. Like, you literally have a guaranteed character in there lying to you. Yeah, and you could almost argue that one of the themes of LB6 is that lying has really bad repercussions in the end. And that you shouldn't lie to people. Pretending, you might say, yeah. But so it's like that's something I've always found really wild. It's like everybody tries to treat like every line of LB6 as gospel, and I'm like, you realize that you have not only the trope of like I don't even know what the trope is officially called, but it's just like you have the liar in your party. He tells you he's a liar, and people still continue to believe everything he says. Simultaneously, you have unreliable narrator with basically Da Vinci trying to present things as fact that Da Vinci gets proven absolutely wrong on later in that same narrative. So it's really weird to see how people kind of act about LB6. Definitely a lot of unreliable narrators in Nasu works. Yeah, like... It's not always unreliable narrator. Sometimes it's just like an uninformed person. The reason you have to treat it as unreliable narrator in LB6 is because, like, so I'll give you guys an example, okay? People have held this up as like, oh, this is just how it is. It's like Rin making statements in Fate Stay Night that Rin is incorrect about. She thinks she's correct. That's not unreliable narrator. That's just a character thinks they're correct and they're not. You could argue the same thing for Da Vinci in LB6, but there's a problem with that. Because prior to LB6, Da Vinci is held up as an authoritative figure. Somebody that is always correct. So it's a problem. Because they do actually give you some kind of foreshadowing to that
indicating that Da Vinci is kind of still an immature version of her original, and that she may not be correct about everything at times. But it's at that point that it's like they finally flip the switch, and it's like, yeah, a lot of the things that she's saying, she's purporting them as a fact that she knows. She doesn't in fact know it. It's not something that is within her purview or anything that she could in fact know. And so it gets really weird at that point because it leaves the reader to decipher that. So to me, I'm not sure if it's just a writing flaw, if it's an inconsistency in the writing, or if it is just purely a translation issue. And I'm not sure which of the three it is, but it is one of the three. If they made Dead Apostle the next main villains. I mean, there's a whole lot going on with the Ordeal Call. And I think what Ordeal Call does to a large degree, and why like you can make an argument that it's not an Epic of Remnant, is Ordeal Call is really trying to examine what the root cause of this conflict really is. And so as a result, I think it's interesting as we start to look towards the future and wonder what kind of is going on with that. Never thought Siege of all things would be useful? Oh, yeah. I'm glad you enjoyed it, people. Damn it, I just showed it, didn't I? No, you see, those were actually fakers that were on the screen. You didn't realize it, chat. Epic Remnant did kind of give us a hint of things to come. All right, chat. I'll give you a brief tidbit. I will give you a brief tidbit of what I told Trubs, and I think I'm 100% right on this. Y'all know Epic of Remnant was like a preview of Lost Belt. Okay? And now's the part where I'm going to tell you Trom was a preview of Ordeal Call 4. And that's all I'm going to say on the matter. I hate you. Specifically for? Don Quixote is going to be our lawyer? That sounds amazing, actually. Morgan told the truth to Woodwoes and it cost her life. True. Maybe we shouldn't tell the truth. Stares at Cad and Caddock face. I see. Herc Lawyer is OP. The problem is I think Herc Lawyer gets thrown out. I don't think you can do much with Herc Lawyer, chat. Also, I'm pretty sure the jury can't understand him. Okay, maybe if he's a different class. If he's Berserker, we're screwed. That would actually surprise me, Kirby. How about Rasputin as my lawyer? No. No, you probably don't. All I'm gonna say on that. No, you probably don't. Yeah, I'm doing the 90 plus now. I think the stream title says I'm doing 90 plus plus, but it's wrong. Didn't Curious VA have a 71st birthday recently? Yes, he did. It was like a week ago, I think. He getting up there. Yeah, chat. We gotta resolve FGO story before like in time for Kyrie's VA and King Hassan's VA. Are any of our servants historically a lawyer? That's a good question. What? See, there's a problem with that though, because like servants are heroes and lawyers are yeah. Better call Saul. Counterpoint Lincoln. True. True. Maybe we get Honest Abe. We do have evil heroes. Right, but it means that like a lawyer would have to do something so significant that it actually kind of counted as like changing the world, right? Ugh. Sorry. Trying to get out some crackers for myself. Edison is good at lawsuits. Edison. I was gonna say Edison is good at patents, but yes, there were definitely lawsuits involved with that. That would actually be like really big brained if they included that. Gandhi was a lawyer, Cad. We can use him. Dude, you're right. And then, if things don't go our way, Gandhi can nuke the entire proceeding. Tech was similar. Because his aggression goes into the negative? Exactly. Listen, I agree. We definitely need more bunny suits. I think we need smaller bunny suits. I think we need more revealing bunny suits. I think we need less bunny suits, if you catch my drift. In a weird way, Merlin could actually like Merlin could qualify as an impartial third party. So that would definitely be an interesting one. Just for anyone that didn't see it. Here's today's artwork. I wouldn't trust Merlin at all, so he'd be an amazing lawyer. Yeah, 100%. You're farming with Komahime? Okay, I'm confused. Which one's Komahime? Is that one of them that's sleeping? Sinoriku. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, Riku is fantastic still. Wait, what? What are you typing out, Kirby? People underrate her now due to Lohi, sadly. I mean, I think she's fine. Like, Lohi gonna Lohi, and I keep saying, like, this is definitely one of the issues that we have with their balance of the past couple of years. They stopped valuing charge as a reason to give somebody, like, less damage. And now they're creating units that just have way more charge and damage, and it's like, old units can't compete with that. There's literally just nothing that's going to work in comparison unless they find some way of like mitigating that. And usually what they have to do, they have to give old units way more damage output. $244, so almost $246. That's $410. See, chat, like, this just flies by. It really does. Like, doing the 90 plus node compared to the plus plus, I don't care how efficient you are in the plus plus, I am way faster. Yeah, Lartoria works great here. I'm just not using her because my Lartoria is already bond 14. So it's like, oh, I can get away with Lalter? Sweet. Also animated 2D. I agree. I agree. I like the way you think, Herb. Later, King. Because Bond as well. Yeah. It's just a case of like, if I can get away with it, I will. I could definitely probably find a composition that required less, did less. Like, it's just not that essential for me to do. Moment. Doink. They need to buff old servants like Jarcher and Muramasa. No, they don't need to buff Muramasa. Listen, chat. I understand you guys like Muramasa. However, he is busted as fuck. Like, that's the problem, is a lot of people forget just how capable that kit is. So not buffing him keeps him in balance. The more they buff him, the more broken Muramasa's going to get. I'm alive to hear that Muramasa's an old star. Muramasa. Let's see. When did Muramasa come to us? Was it after LB5, chat? I mean, technically, he's like been a character in the game for a long time. Four years, okay. Yeah, it's Muramasa is one of those units that I've held up as an example of a quote unquote super unit. It's where like you could tell they started losing the plot when it came to like unit design. Because you ask yourself what they gave Muramasa, and you realize the answer is that they gave Muramasa literally everything. Everything, chat. It's more like, what didn't they give Muramasa? And then you realize he got everything. His sustain is the problem. Is it though? Is it? So, hear me out, chat. A unit that loops well without their steroid doesn't have a sustain problem. Can't even say that when you pair him with Castoria 99% of the time. Right. And that's the point I'm making, is that like it's still very easily possible to sit there and just like chain loop him. And I know because I've done it. So it's like, don't get me wrong. I understand what chat's getting at. It's like, well, he only has a 1-turn steroid. You're right. That is his weakness. It probably needs to stay that way. Just saying. Like, if they buffed him, would it be the end of the world? No. But if they buffed him, then you literally just go right back to, well, now everyone else needs a buff. Because that's the problem. His kit's too strong. You have some FGO creators at the nerds say he's washed. I mean, I don't know who's saying it, but listen, I've always been a big proponent of the kit over damage. It doesn't mean that damage isn't necessary. You guys have absolutely seen that when I've talked about Lartoria, for instance. Okay? However, at the same time, while I'll sit there and I'll stump for Lartoria to get a damage buff to keep pace with the rest of her class, you had people calling her the worst SSR. Those people are... It is what it is. And the reason I'm going to say that is because Lartoria's always had a good kit. You've always been capable of looping with her in, frankly, pretty hilarious ways. And her card performance is, honest to God, pretty undervalued. So it's one of those deals where I've just noticed that sometimes people get kind of like lost in the sauce. They get too like, oh my God, like everything that I think is 100% correct. And so it's like I'll give you guys an example. It's like JC's proposing that we buff Muramasa, that Muramasa needs that upgrade. And I immediately think to myself, what are the merits of what JC is saying? Does JC have a valid point? I don't agree with it, but I do see where he's coming from. And I do understand that. So it's like, I don't know. I've always been somebody that's been really like open-minded on like debating stuff like this. And if chat can convince me otherwise, yeah, I'm more than happy to change my tune. I said could, not should. Well, it is what it is. Could mean should. But no, it's, yeah, I think people get carried away with it sometimes. They don't really think too much about it, and they don't think like, and I'm not saying you're guilty of this, JC. I'm just talking in general. Like, just that like people don't really realize kind of what the implications of some of it may or may not be, right? I think an MP upgrade would be enough for Muramasa. I mean, sure. Give him an MP upgrade, see what happens. It's like, this is the reason why I'm saying it, right? Like, you have an inherent balance issue if you take a character that has a really, really robust kit and you give them really, really robust damage. They're not going to be able to do anything about that other than make other characters do more. They can try to flesh out other characters' kits, but when you have a character like Muramasa that has functionally everything in his kit, you can't win. It's like the only like no matter how much you add to any given unit's kit, they will still not do as much as Muramasa does, and that's going to create an inherent problem. So that's why the only thing they can do usually is either find a new niche for them or just straight up amplify the damage. That's really all that can be done. And in his case, he doesn't really offer too many people other niches, so. I'm gonna be real with you. You don't really need Star Bomb on Muramasa. You can provide that any number of ways. That's right. Let's buff Nero. I mean, they've buffed Nero so much over the years. Like OG Nero. OG Nero has come so far. And to be fair, OG Nero did need it. Like, OG Nero had always been really good for like challenge content and staying alive and just being a cockroach. But OG Nero kinda wasn't too good otherwise. Card performance was pretty damn low, especially if you didn't get the proc on Imperial Privilege. And NP damage was always low, and loopability was pretty much non-existent prior to her upgrades. Yeah, I'm gonna say using Melisson as the basis for buffing anybody else to be like Melisson is probably a bad idea. Can a buff fix Osaka Behemoth? Yes. Will it? No. Wait a minute. What did I do? Hold on. Did I do her skills in the wrong order? I think that's what happened. Yeah, because Lulter's got 20% charge less. Well, this will be fun. Thank you, Lulter. Saving me.
How do I get back there to the place where I fell asleep beside you?
Castanera could use something. I think Tonalico is just so strong. Yeah, that's definitely an interesting one. I mean, Umu did kind of get a little bit of a stealth upgrade with the 5th append. So, because the 5th append is a thing, you can now actually double up Caster Umu's 3rd skill, whereas you couldn't before. So that definitely helps out a lot more than most people probably realize. But yeah, she could probably use something. Just like, it's another similar situation where it's like, yes, there is a unit that's better than her, but she's also kind of at the top. So it's difficult for them to sit there and just go like, oh yeah, we totally need to buff her. I think they need to buff units to be alternatives rather than be Melisson 2.0. I agree. The problem is when you have a Melisson like, right? So like you have a character that's so dominant in their class, you literally just sit there having to buff everybody to be able to compete with Melisson. Giving them a niche at that point doesn't even really matter. And I'm going to give you an example. Lartoria. They gave Lartoria a niche and then they released Melisson. It's like, oh boy, that niche doesn't matter. Melisson wins anyways. So it's like, there's a point where a unit is so strong that the niche is just kind of a moot point. But there's also a point where you can say, hey, if we can buff the unit, then the niche will matter again. So it's fine. It's just like, it basically feels like when they release a super unit like that, it inevitably results in them sitting there kind of playing catch up and going like, all right, now this next round of buffs is just to get the unit relevant again. And I'm not just talking about like, oh, well, a unit exists that's stronger than the unit. It has to be a unit that's so strong that like the other units are just not relevant. There's not a whole lot of like alternative choices for 5-star supports. Like in some cases there can be if you play smart and you manipulate the build to the way you want it to be. But at other points, like the node just kind of requires certain setups, and it is what it is. Bim, bim. Be nice if they finally helped out the Archer class. Archer single targets have needed it for like 5 years. It's hilarious. It's so sad too at this point. Quick and Buster don't really have any substitutes for their buffers. I think Buster is actually in a pretty good spot at the moment. Like the amount of like times, and again, I keep seeing people be like, "Oh my God, Koyan Sky of Darkness is so bad; she needs upgrades." And I'm like, Chad, I could be using Koyan Sky of Darkness right now. The only reason I'm not is because I've already prolifically used my Koyan Sky of Darkness on NA. So I have to tone down my usage of her because I've used her too much. So it's like, I see a lot of people that sit there and think like, oh, she's not that good, but she actually is really good if you tailor the comp to her. And that is why I'm going to say it's like, sometimes there are options. It depends on how niche the option is and whether or not people can actually get away with it. And that's a little bit like, it's on you, but it's also on the devs to make it possible. If they keep designing nodes that are inherently just all about damage amplification, and rather than like weird wonky charging setups and stuff, it inevitably is going to cause problems. We need a split quick 50. Yeah, I agree. I can't bring Miss Crane to every node. You can try. You mean Gilgamesh and MHXA? Yes. Yes, the absolute two best single target archers. An AoE archer and somebody from another class. You also forgot Seal. The way Buster looping works is just very inflexible. I mean, if you want somebody to quote unquote loop, right? And it's funny because people go like, oh, that's not looping. It's like, it is. If you're 3-turning with a singular unit, you're looping as far as I'm concerned. So at that point, it's like you see, if in order to do that with most units, you probably need a double Koyanskaya setup or a double Oberon setup. So that's kind of inflexible. But the second you start getting into the idea of like, hey, I'm going to take multiple DPS, I'm going to try to like kind of let different units handle different waves. Again, you guys can see on screen, I'm taking literally a triple DPS comp. So it's like these sorts of things are possible. And that starts opening things up a lot. But that's no different in theory than what you can do with something like Quick, right? I think the issue with Quick is that Quick literally just pretty much does have the Scotties. I've seen people try to say it's like, oh, well, you can use like Khazra drop and stuff. And it's like, you can, but you can't. You can only really get away with Khazra drop if it's a Khazra drop centric like comp, or you're fighting another Sakura face. And that's pretty... like that's pretty niche is what I'll say. It's not like, oh my god, like every node I run into has a Sakura face in it. It's a fairly rare occurrence that you end up fighting one. So it definitely makes it a little bit more difficult to try and do something in that regard. Is the capture card okay? Yeah, it's fine. Oh, you guys are right. Summer Musashi could use another buff that gives her 50% charge. Yeah, I think that's a good idea, right, chat? Because her drop isn't really made to be a farming support, I think. Yeah, that's what I say. Like, I've seen people try to like treat her as if like she's super, super OP. And I'm like, she can be if you set her up. But that's like, that's kind of the case of a lot of units in the game. That's not anything that's truly unique. It's like, oh, you custom tailored the comp for her. She's really strong. Yeah, that's the case for everybody. To me, she's really interesting the way she works. She's a really capable unit. She is definitely a support. I don't think she's a meta support by any means. Honestly, I think I could make a stronger argument about Korean Sky of Dark being more meta than her. Because Korean Sky of Dark works with more units. But even then, to me, I think that's like, if they ever do want to buff Korean Sky of Dark, I think they actually should buff her in her support capacity. I think they need to broaden basically who her second skill affects. It feels like she is them testing an idea they have for future servants. Yeah. And like, I've had people argue with me about this before. It's like, oh, well, the solution for Quick is that they're going to fix every single unit. And I'm like, doing a unit-based solution for a system is not a solution, because it's a system. So it's like you have the art system, you have the buster system, you have the Quick system. Making every Quick unit better to try to make Quick better doesn't fix the issues with the Quick system. It just makes every Quick unit better. That's all it does. So it creates a runaway issue of again, it's Altera. It's, oh, we're gonna avoid giving the people what they want, what they need for all these years, and we're gonna keep doing everything we can to circumvent that. And then finally we're gonna get fed up with it. We're gonna give the people what they want. And oh no, we created a monster. What did we do? And then you go like, well, yeah, congratulations. So it's like there's a point where it's almost like fated that they end up that way, because they keep trying to avoid doing the thing they actually need to do. Yeah, and that's what I've said before, is like the problem with this is like, even if the new Quick units coming out are really strong, and they are, it doesn't fix the old Quick units, so they really have to like go back and start buffing them. And like some have gotten buffs over the years, but I I love the idea of the devs fixing things with buffs, but chat, we've been playing this game for 10 years. There's a point where we gotta say, like, all right, like, I love the fact that they buff, but let's not rely on it, because they definitely drop the ball at times with it. Like, you guys can look and see, like, again, look at Lartoria's buff. How long did it take for her to get on the level playing field with some of the other Lancers? So it's like, there's a point where I don't mind the devs having, you know, imbalances. I think that's natural. I think it's going to happen no matter what they do. But there's a point where it's like, all right, look, you've just forgotten about some of these units. They've been in this state for years and years and years and years. This isn't a like, oh, we're trying to create a temporary imbalance. And instead it's just like, no, we've just totally forgotten about the character. Oops, sorry. Are we going to Zenobia buff? I mean, to me, Zenobia doesn't need a buff because Zenobia is permanent and a 4-star. So Zenobia is really good at what she is. Jar Jar needs that buff, in theory. Jar Jar's still pretty solid. Durga is really hard kind of replacing her if you have a robust Durga. For someone like me, I'm not even going to roll on Durga. I have a really robust Jar Jar, so I don't need it. But there will definitely be like the occasional weight room check of like, hey, Jar Jar doesn't do enough damage even with a Black Grail. And so you start going like, oh man, that doesn't feel good. Ket's buff win? Yeah, Ket's could use another one. Ket's could use another one just to keep her in parity. Because Ozzy has kind of run away with it, and Ozzy definitely has way more like supportive capability than Ket's does. So it's like, to me, this is a case of like, if we went back to the Muramasa discussion, it's like Muramasa is somehow on top in damage. And it's like, oh god, like that's probably not a good thing for balance. So it's the same issue with like, okay, you have Ozzy on top for single target damage, but Ozzy is, again, also just a cracked support that is literally powering this composition right now. And you start going like, wait a minute. Hold on, something's not right. Can UDK Barcast get a buff? Yeah, I don't want to like burst anyone's bubble, but UDK Barcast is not that good. Like, it's sad kind of how she got treated. I think the devs knew that people were going to roll that unit because they just liked Barcast. And it's like the devs just did the Barcast fans dirty with it. You can still use her, but the problem that she has is her refund is really bad. At least for an Arc unit. Yeah, it's I don't really know why they decided to handle it that way, but I still remember like when we were setting up to do like the whole analysis for UDK, I was like, hey, give me the numbers. And I looked at the numbers and was like, this can't be right. I was like, double check. And it's like, nope, it's right. And then I went in and I used my own UDK and I was like, damn, what the heck, dude? So I think they just knew. They knew that unit was going to sell and they just did not. They did not care. Almost, chat. Almost. I think it was Millicent repeat fear. Yeah, and to a degree, like making a 4-star capable of something, capable of one of probably the most controversial aspects of Melisson, it's probably not a good idea, right? Like having a 4-star capable of swapping their NP type, and they can actually swap at will, unlike Melisson, is what it is, but kind of designed to be a team player. Yeah, I think that's my issue with her. And if they wanted to buff her, I'd be a-okay. Because it really feels like they just did not give her enough. Like if they want her to be more supportive and part of a multiple damage dealer composition, I actually think that's fine. They just didn't really do a whole lot in that regard. Damn it, Ozzy. Ozzy's gonna cause this to scuff. Would that fix you, DK? They could, and yes, that would. Will they? No. We haven't seen a stat adjustment since year one, chat. At least I don't think. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong on that. Didn't Iskander get increased MP gain? He did, but that was that year 2? Like, it was really soon after his release. Like, they almost just immediately like turned around and did it. And I think that's part of the reason that they do is they realize that like they're having an issue with the performance of the unit that they didn't anticipate. Didn't they change Caskill's and P gain with his buff? Caskill has a unique NP gain modifier, but did they change it with the buff? Let me see. Doesn't look like it. If it did, it'd be down in the trivia. So let me see. No, it's a different form of trivia. The hits from his Noble Phantasm had the lowest offensive NP generation rate of all servants at 0.16. And yet this man is a Black Grail Looper. But yeah, no, they've never changed it. Yeah, Iskander got a tweak. The two Summer 1 servants of Squirtoria and Surfmo got a tweak, and the hit counts on Bride's cards got a tweak. Those are the only ones that I can remember off the top of my head. Like I said, they really haven't done it in a long time. Now I can run MLB. Nice. Waiver released that way for NA. His was like really quick though. And I'm not even sure they tweaked the stats. They just tweaked his skills. I think waiver stats stayed the same, if I remember correct. She was the first new unit. So it was her. Well, either way. It didn't matter that much because the whole reason we were doing that was to count the number of times that it happened. And the sky's gray. Chad, I have a video that I want to record with you guys, but I'm not sure how to do it. California dreaming. Recorded as Vakoob? I don't know that my voice can handle that. The pimp background I made. Did you send me some new background or something? Unless you're referring to the original on-air one, in which I go, no. Jump. Oh, test tube. The original, yeah. Oh, listen, the whole reason Kama got a buff was because of Melt. I think if Melt doesn't get her insane upgrade, Kama doesn't get that upgrade, which is wild to me. Like, I'm not going to say they can't buff any unit. God damn it, I did it again. Just that it's inherently a bad idea unless they're willing to very quickly follow it up with some upgrades to other units. So that ends up being kind of one of the issues with it. Oh, that's not going to work. Well, oh well. Pressing record usually helps. Listen. Why the tab out on wave 3? What are you talking about? What tab out? Damn, Eliza almost killed that dead. I welcome the combo buff, but Jack has been forgotten. Yeah, Jack needs something. It's funny too, because I remember debating with people as to like, even before that combo buff is like, oh, which one's better, Jack or Kama? And I knew some people that just insisted Jack, and I'm like, okay. Like, Kama was such to the point that removing Saberface bias from the equation, if I could only have like one assassin, it was probably Kama. That's just how like redonkulous she kind of was. Listen, I'm not responsible for programming interruptions on chat's end, okay? Ooh, that's one of the few times she's actually left something alive. Normally Eliza just clean clears. I think it's like an absolute min roll that causes that. The 226 boxes? Keep going. You can do it, I believe in you. Kama's the best single target assassin before the buff? Yep. And like, if you guys remember when we were talking about like buffs that I considered to be like kind of beyond the pale and like something where they just really probably didn't need to do it, Kama's came up. Kama's was one of the ones where we were like, hold on, should she? And Melt is literally the only reason for it. It's the only reason it's acceptable. If not, they literally buffed Kama for no reason. But then at that point, you look at that, it's like, okay, well now Kama is really good in the face of Melt, but what about all the other single target assassins? And this is, I hate to say it, this is the problem that they have with a lot of the extra classes that they've been on. It's like they've been on a kick of either releasing new and more powerful extra classes or buffing some of the old ones. And that has put a lot of pressure on some of the individual classes. And I've talked about this before. It's the same issue that you have whenever you buff berserkers. Like, people sit there and they look at like the Musashi buff and it's like, what does that do to the archers, right? It's just gonna be a problem. And they can definitely smooth things out and fix things. And the game is not a like one size fits all solution, at least, but I don't blame anybody for having, you know, frustrations with it at this point. I already did Flare. There's still time this lotto. What a huge improvement from last year's. Congratulations. Keep going. You can do it. I believe in you. Just going to keep telling all of you that. There we go. Cad, should I keep going? No. No, Hardest, you stop. You're done. No more. Can Jack outdamage Melt versus females, or is Jack just outclassed? I'd have to look, but I think Jack is just outclassed now. You meaning? Listen, we gotta try. Yeah, no, the video that I wanted to do is I wanted to go over the results from the polling that we did, chat, but it's actually going to be probably a short video because there's not much to talk about. Oh my god, fingers. Thank you. Jack's skills are actually not that bad. I see people shit on him a lot, but they definitely could probably use some modernization at this point. Who would have thought permanent guts is busted, right? So we are somewhere in the realm of 415, I think. Waiting for a scuff to happen where he forgets to change. Listen. It's already happened. Though I'm pretty good about it. It's only happened the once. He's like the only buff removal on a skill in the game. Yeah. Well, not the only one, but... When I get the guy gonna get that ruler class score for Buntoria, I can't wait. It's like people were telling me to like spend my my Stardust, and I was like, no. It's like I'm saving that shit. Actually, I think I already did pre-level it, so I think I'm good. Ugh. But yeah, Buntoria is gonna go friggin' nuts after that. I cannot imagine giving her like way more crit damage and card damage. That's gonna get stupid. And I'm all for it. Yeah, I hope they buff OG John. If the version in Ordeal Call that we get is OG John, I really hope that they actually give her a solid like slew of upgrades. If it is not, I still hope they like go back and like upgrade her third skill or something. I don't know. There we go. Go down to the bottom of the list and get somebody. I should start with Lancers or Sabers for it. Conventional wisdom is start with Berserkers. But it's up to you. Amakusa needs 3 more buffs. Honestly, chat, they just need to leave Amakusa as is. Amakusa is still really like crazy good for certain challenge fights. And no change they ever make will make us want to use Amakusa for farming. Just saying. He has one of the clunkiest kits in the entire game for that. Same concept for Metatron. I mean, Metatron isn't basically a god themselves, but we'll see. What if Metatron is using John St. Graph? I don't think that would surprise anybody. That's one of the most like obvious hints at this point. However, I will say I wouldn't be surprised if it's actually the tribunal of 3 judges is what makes up Metatron. That would not surprise me. If he was god tier for both CQ and farming, I wouldn't use him. Yeah, I also just don't think Amakusa is a very popular character in that regard. It's possible, anyways. Even if Amakusa was trash tier for both CQ and farming, I would use him. So, Peanut and L dubs are polar opposites. You are the duality of man. Each one of you, half of a whole. Combined, you are completely ambivalent towards Amakusa. That was my intent, yes. You're a filthy neutral. Chat will go up to like... How deep am I? We'll go up to like 420. And then I will I'll sit down and record with you. Tell my wife I said hello. Amakusa is built for challenges, sure. Yeah, to me, Amakusa is the epitome of a unit that is built to be used as an antagonist that the players have to fight in a challenge fight. Because he is a kit that's really good for that. Because the way his charge per turn works, it actually works better as a enemy in PC than it basically does as a player-controlled character. You mean 469? No, I'm just saying I'll sit down and record. I just want to reach a good stopping point for that. I'm trying to set a goal so that I go up to that point and I don't like slack. What if they give Sherlock a skill buff? I feel like he could use a skill 3 buff. Sherlock has had so many buffs. He's another one where they probably just need to like stay away from him for a little bit. But it could happen. Like you could see him get it here if he is actually involved in the story. I'm not farming boxes, but bullets. Yeah, I mean, I don't really need it from either of the nodes. The 90++, I in theory need more, but At this rate, chat, I will have at 420. No, I'd have to get to 435 for it to be 50 on stream. Okay. That, I don't think we'll reach that tonight. I was going to say, if I can get to like 425, which probably is possible, that'll at least have been 40 boxes in one stream. And it was a stream that I was not particularly efficient in. Am I using apples or sand quartz for refills? Apples. Any plans for the embers are all trashed? Oh no, they will not get trashed. I will not waste a single ember. And the reason why, because that video I'm going to make coming up. That's not tonight's video, though. Did you record? Not yet. No. I sadly have to waste them. Why? Why do you have to waste them? Are you including your vote? Yes. I told everyone what I voted, though. Chat should know. You currently grailing Mixa? No, I'm currently grailing MHXA. I got you, Hardus. Wait, Skeleton Warriors? I've never heard of this. You're joining Cad's Patreon. Box count? Give me a sec. '80s, '90s cartoons are a wild time, right? Have they revealed who is writing OC4? No, not as far as I know. We might find that out at the stream. Join the OnlyFans. No. There's a stream. There's a stream Wednesday morning. Mr. Trubbs will be translating it. I think 3:45 a.m. Eastern. Or it might be his time. I don't know. I'm sure he'll post. And the game crashed. Yeah, I've had a couple crashes myself. I mean, it's just the old engine. Old engine do be doing things. Yeah, Trubbs basically says in like 32 hours or something like that. Big stakes for Wednesday. Yep. Your chat 251. So at 252, so it's about like 3 more runs. 252 will be at 420 boxes. So in the night of tomorrow. No. Do embers from boxes go straight into your inventory? No. They go into your mailbox. Yeah, it's Wednesday morning for us in the States. How long do they stay in your mailbox? For a maximum of 1 year. Would you like to see my collection? I can show you. There's plenty of space in mailbox then? Well, about that. Might I recommend you go watch another one of my videos? See, chat, this is the problem. I end up sounding like a shill all the time. I have a video talking about how to stack your mailbox if you haven't ever watched it. I think it's called Mailbox Stuffing Explained. Does the mailbox have a limit? Yes. There's both a time and a size limit. And you can only store up to, I think is it 390 spaces when you're rolling out of the 400? Cat, would you like to know more? I'm doing my part. What happens when you max it out? Scary things. Like deleting your oldest item. Now, you basically can't do it while rolling out your mailboxes. It's just in theory, if your mailbox overflows, it can be a thing. Though I think they've kind of gone the way of the dodo on that. And I'm not even sure it's even possible anymore. Hello, CZ. How are you doing today, bud? Don't mind me. I'm just refusing to show chat certain things. Oh my god, one more run. You know they're rebooting Starship Troopers? There's no way it's as good as the original. There's no way. Because, like, part of the reason that Starship Troopers is good is that it's so campy. If they reboot it, Hollywood will inevitably try to sink their fangs into it, and it'll just become crap. Taking a quick break after an early morning meeting. Nice. Come in and relax and farm. Chat, if you guys haven't ever checked out Mr. CZ, go do so. He's a good buddy of mine. He's normally polar opposite of me. My evening is his morning. So he streams normally in my mornings. Like Teen Titans to Teen Titans Go. What's the difference? They just added a Go. Surely that's the same thing. Be a sucker and buy a ticket for I Know What You Did Last Summer? Oh, God. There we go, chat. 252. Goes into another node. Yeah, hold on. Let me show you guys the mailbox thing. Oh, what is this? Gimme. Don't look at any of this, chat. Don't look at this. This will hurt you. Don't look at it. Stop looking at it, chat. I feel your eyes. You're looking at it. Okay. So this is my mailbox. And you can see, like, I have items in here that have about 100 days left. But the idea is that you pull from the back so that nothing ever expires, and you just stack, and you leave the bigger stacks in your mailbox. And that way, you have a ton. And my mailbox is not full right now because I've already pulled out a bunch of the stacks. But I'm going to have to do some things. So it is what it is. Before it expires in 10 days? Yeah, you might want to do that, Maestro. You might want to do that. Hello, Garrett. Let me pop these skills here real fast, chat. Okay, let's record. So I created a spreadsheet and I decided to poll all of you guys. Now, this happened a couple of weeks back. I thought it'd be a pretty interesting idea for a video to go ahead and poll the entire community and see, just who everyone's favorites actually were. The catch was you could only vote once. So this was a list including every single servant in the game. And the idea behind it was just, again, that we're just going to kind of get down to the absolute favorites that people have. If they could only pick one, who would they pick? And it's been a really interesting poll nonetheless. We actually ended up with over 400 different responses in this actual poll. And while I know that's not going to be enough to really indicate the entire community at large, it's still been an eye-opening experience, and who knows, maybe we'll do more polls into the future, and we may actually get more results. So maybe we can achieve something closer to an actual consensus within the community. That being said, I do think we can still discern quite a bit of interesting little nuggets from this. So on this second sheet over here, I actually asked Bob, who helped me with this poll, to kind of tabulate some of this and put it into sort of proper classification so you guys can actually see, as we have certain other things that I wanted kind of categorized here to actually be. And the general takeaway is that there are some very, very, very popular characters in the game, but of the 400 plus responses we actually got, I think, what was it, Bob? Was it 130 something unique responses, I believe? There was quite a bit. I remember you told me the number, and I now don't remember what the number was. 148, according to this. So 148 unique responses to this poll. That's pretty crazy if you consider it, because I think a lot of the times as we look into the community, we see a lot of bandwagoning going on, frankly. You see a lot of people that are just like, oh man, I really love this character. I really love that character. And people have a tendency to kind of get pretty cult-like with it. And it's actually kind of funny. So seeing that there were, again, kind of gun put to your head, like what are you gonna pick? And seeing that we actually got 148 different responses is actually kind of wild. Like, I did not expect that. I thought we'd see a lot more clumping than we actually did see. So that was already just right there from the initial results apparent to me. And we could actually see this because on the poll itself, as the results were coming in, it actually displays a pie graph for you. And the pie graph got pretty crazy. I'll send an image over to the editor to get him to put it in the shot right here. But like, oh my God, there's just so many different options that people chose. So we tried to tabulate everything and get it into some more interesting numbers that we can kind of work with. Of those, the first one that we tried to look at here was the overall class count. And you guys can see on screen, we actually ended up with Berserker being the most popular class. It came in with about 52 of the 404 responses at roughly about 12 to 13-ish% there. So definitely pretty strong nonetheless. But actually, no, I'm going to have to go back. This isn't sorted. It's weird because I'm pretty sure I sorted it, but I think it resorted itself, if I remember correctly. I can edit. Yeah, I killed the recording right there, so I'll start over again. So let's see. Hold on. It goes Saber, Lancer, Berserker, and then on down. Okay. So of those, we decided to look at the classes. And interestingly enough, while it wasn't the most popular like I expected, I actually expected Berserker to end up being the most popular for a lot of people for a couple of reasons. But I think a lot of this, when you're just kind of taking a poll, didn't boil down to gameplay. It actually boiled down to the characters that people loved. And so instead of it being something like Berserker, it actually ended up being Saber was the most popular. And this came in at 62 of the 404 possible votes, with actually it being roughly 15% of the overall votes were for Saber class servants. From there, it was Lancers at 59 of the 404 votes, or roughly 14.6% of the vote. And Berserker then coming in third at 52 votes at roughly 12.87%. So it was definitely an interesting sort of layout there. I actually over time have tried to tell people before, it's like, I think the Lancer class actually does have a lot of people's waifus in it. You see it kind of all the time where a lot of the characters in that class, somebody usually has a Lancer waifu if you go and ask them. But I do think that's partially reflected here. But again, you're not going to be able to get like the obvious sort of kickback of like, well, you know, after their first most favorite servant, who's the next servant that they really like? Because they only had the one choice. So this really was just people kind of having to go out on a limb and choose their individual one here. From there, it actually looks like Avenger comes in next highest at 35, or basically 8.66%. And then it kind of begins to trickle down from there. Foreigner with 29 of the votes, Archer with 28, Assassin with 27, Caster with 25, and then pretty much into the lower ones like Rider with 22, Alter Ego with 17, and it looks like Beast actually coming in strong there with 14 of the votes, considering how much more of a new addition to the game Beast is. That's pretty much all just being powered by our two Beast servants, Draco and Space Erish. So really, really interesting at this point in time. And who knows, maybe we'll get more Beasts in the future. But it's really interesting to see how popular Beast is, despite how new it is in that regard. And interestingly enough, but not surprising to probably anybody, Shielder came in as the least popular, but it actually managed to acquire 4 votes. So 4 of you out there are true MASH soldiers. So in that regard, definitely doing your girl proud there by almost managing to beat Pretender outright. And from there, decided, like, hey, another really cool, interesting aspect to look at would be like the overall faces. And this was something I think that's been debated a bunch in the community. I'm going to go ahead and disclaim that my community has quite a bit more bias as far as communities go. So I'm a huge Saberface lover. So I fully expected there would be some amount of skewing given everything that kind of goes on in my community. So I'm not surprised at the results here in that regard, maybe so much as just how much the slant was. Now, you got to keep in mind, saber faces are a really, really huge niche. That is to say, there are not just Artoria there, you've got John in there, you've got Okita in there, you've got Umu in there. So there's a ton of people that count towards the saber-faced niche, and that is going to be one of the reasons why it is so skewed. If we just included Artoria, these numbers would be a lot more human and down to earth, but you'll see there's some interesting tidbits there in that. So Saber came in at 97 of the potential votes there, of which we recorded basically roughly about, I think it was 169. Hold on, let me see. There's 141 between Saber, Rin, and Sakura for the total votes there. So 97 of the 141. So, again, more than 2/3 at that point. You're looking at basically almost 69% nice of the actual vote being for a Saberface. So I'm not surprised that Saberfaces won. I'm surprised by just the sheer amount that they did win. I expected this would be way closer to being split into thirds. Rin and Sakura each tied at 22 responses. So these are anybody that made up a Rin face or a Sakura face in that regard. So perfectly balanced as all things should be right there, with the 15.6% of the responses being for both of them. And definitely an interesting thing to see that yeah, basically the community, at least as far as the people that responded to me, were pretty evenly split between those two. But those weren't the only the only faces that we looked at. I also compared Tamamo faces to Umu faces. Tamamo came in with a slight edge with 14 votes in her favor to Nero's 13 specifically for her. So right there, Tamamo just ever so slightly eking out her competitor from Extra there by taking 51.85% of the vote in the presidential election, so to speak, of the Extraverse. And then I also compared the, let's see, how do I put it? The two red line faces, if you will, or Gouda faces between Nobu and Okita. Nobu actually came in with 8 of the votes to Okita's only 5. A little bit of a poor showing on Okita's part, but it is what it is, and I don't blame people for being as big of a fan as Nobu as they are. Nobu has definitely weathered the storm, so to speak. So the Nobu fans that are still sticking around doing her proud, props to you. And then Shiro himself actually managed to net 6 of the votes. This is to say any sort of Shiro face included in that. Another interesting metric that we began to look at here was how many of these votes actually were for summer units as opposed to maybe their normal variant. This was actually pretty surprising. It was not nearly as much as I expected it to be. That is to say, summer servants only amounted to 52 of the votes on the entire response list out of 404 responses, equating to about 12.87%, which means 87.13% were for non-summer unit variants. So again, the original variants of a unit. Again, like I said, that just surprised me. I expected summer units to be way more popular in this regard, but I think this is just, hey, you can only vote for one, so a lot of people just went with the original form rather than maybe going with the summer form. Why that is, I don't know. Maybe you guys can tell me in the comments below. I'd be curious to hear what you guys' thoughts are on that one. And so, again, between that, we also looked at the demographics of how many of the votes were for male versus female servants. And this one is an actual pretty eye-opening number, and I think it really speaks volumes a little bit about maybe why FGO is shaped the way that it is. I see a lot of discourse all the time about like, oh, well, you know, like people don't really care too much about the male servants. They don't do them justice, and that's kind of the reason why they're less popular. But I don't really think that's the case. I think we kind of see here that this IP is predominantly for a lot of, you know, like interest in the female characters. It doesn't mean that people don't idolize Shiro and stuff like that, or really love Gilgamesh and things. It's just that it does appear like the vast majority of the popularity is on the side of the female characters, and we kind of see that here. Doesn't mean that they don't maybe like additional characters in addition to the one that they chose, but it does mean that push come to shove, they chose the female character as their favorite, with females taking a whopping 347 of the 404 votes, roughly 86% of the overall total belonging to female characters, as opposed to only 57 votes for male characters, coming in at about 14%. Another interesting one, too, is rather than just comparing the faces, we actually compared the top overall results. And this was a particularly interesting one to see as we began to merge units of multiple types. So if we had multiple variants of, say, a Arturia face, we merged them all into Arturia. If we had multiple variants of a John face, we merged them all into John. If we had multiple faces for Ereshkigal, we merged them all into one. And when we did that, you can actually see of the overall 404 responses, Arturia actually managed to pull a whopping 9% almost herself. So she got 35 responses just between her different variations. And if we actually go back and compare that to the earlier comparisons amongst the faces, even if you weeded out literally all the other Saber faces, Arturia would have still won compared to all the variants of Rin and Sakura, which was an interesting observation nonetheless. Again, I'm going to assume some of that is due to the bias of my community, but I don't think it's crazy to say that this is probably why Saber faces do just keep getting released. I think the devs know it's kind of where their bread's buttered. There's a lot of people that like and roll for the Saber faces throughout the years. Morgan Le Fay actually came in at the second most popular, with her having 19 of the votes, or roughly about 5% of the vote. Joan of Arc and all of her variants, including the altars, managed to grab 17 of the votes. Ereshkigal also coming in, tying for that third place with 17 of the votes. Shisho herself managed to garner about 16, tying with Musashi for 5th place. And Tamamo ended up getting the 14 votes that we revealed earlier, with Umu getting 13. Melisande came in just behind them at 12 votes, and Gilgamesh, the only male in the top 10, managed to garner 11 votes across his different variations. So definitely an interesting thing to say the least. The sheer singular most popular voted for character was Morgan Le Fay Berserker at 18 votes. So that's non-merged whatsoever. Jalter at the second most popular at 14. And surprisingly enough, Shisho Lancer with 13. I did not expect her to be that popular, because it feels like a lot of people really just don't talk about her very often. She's definitely worthy of it, and I'm happy to see her so high on this list. It was a pleasant surprise nonetheless to see her being this popular. Ereshkigal was your 4th most popular on her own, the Lancer form, at 11 votes. Gil Archer coming in at 10 votes for his form there. Miyamoto Musashi Saber with 10 votes, and Melisande Lancer also with 10 votes. Kama then coming in as her assassin form, getting 9, and the original Arturia at 9 votes herself. in the 10th slot for most popular characters, with an honorable mention to Draco right on her heel with 8 votes. Just for one last little bit of observation here, we did kind of compare the numbers from each singularity. Event units are by far and away the most popular variation, and that's definitely not, to say the least, the craziest thing ever. I think we just kind of merged all event characters into one, because trying to detail where each character came from in each event was probably a little bit too much. But they came in with a whopping 131 of the votes, whereas we do at least end up having here a tie pretty much between Avalon LaFay, aka LB6, and Babylonia Singularity 7 from Part 1, each getting 40 votes across their origination units. So these are units that are coming specifically from those story chapters where they first appear. And then from there, we end up with Fuyuki getting 26 of the votes, as well as Orleans getting 20 of the votes. So not too surprising, since so many units are technically directed to be from there, regardless of maybe their not actual involvement in the story. From there, you actually end up having London coming in with 18 votes and America with 15, as well as LB7 ending up taking 12 of the votes, and Archetype Inception getting 7 of the votes. So really, really interesting. Camelot also, oh, sorry, I did skip that. Camelot managed to get 10 of the votes right there, but it is an interesting thing to see just how spread out these numbers were across all of the various singularities, and how, regardless of the origin of a unit, it really felt like FGO units as a whole are pretty beloved, that even if there is a sort of one-off servant, it's probably somebody's favorite. I think that's the big takeaway from this. And so while obviously there were some characters that we expected to be at the top as the most popular, there were definitely some surprises. Let me know what you guys think and which one you guys thought was the most impressive. I will actually end up including this little spreadsheet here just so you guys can see it in the link in the description. So make sure you guys check it out if you want to go over the stuff in a little bit more fine detail. But I thought it was a pretty interesting poll nonetheless, and we will definitely have to do some other ones in the future. If you guys have a good idea for a poll, let me know in the comments below. I'll be sure to read your comments. And thank you again for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you guys for the next video. Okay. My voice. I am one of the 4. Nice. There were plenty of units that had like 1. That you guys can see. I just didn't want to go over the whole thing. But yeah, MASH did not have 1. I'm surprised. And there are plenty of units that don't appear here, by the way. So, considering how many servants we have in the game, it is what it is. But doing a poll for favorite event. Oh. MASH would be in my top 5, to be fair. Yeah, I think it's like probably the next question is somehow like a ranking of this, or like, hey, you have 2 choices. I don't know. It'd definitely be an interesting thing to see. Hey, what's that? Bob, you get out of that. You get out. I see you. I didn't have a filter for male, female. Don't worry. You didn't. But I got you. You didn't have a filter for most of these, Bob. Morgan won. Morgan was the single most popular character. Yeah. Like Morgan Berserker was the most popular. And that's why I basically broke it down. We did it by class, we did it by face, and then we did it by basically if you merged all their copies of a character, who was the most popular, and then who was the singular most popular, who got the most votes overall. We can technically add more. No, it's good. Yeah, what I did is I went through the list and I just said all right, how many of these are male? And so that's what this is. If you actually look at the formula, you can see I just pulled from literally all the males. And no, I didn't count things like Demon King Nobu. Yeah, it was a lot more evenly spread than I expected it to be. I really did expect some jank with it. I expected that we were going to see a lot of clumping, and some of the usual suspects did get it. But I'm gonna be honest with you guys. There were some that were not as high as I expected. So Mellison would have been one of those. I expected Mellison to be in the top 3, and she was not. I expected let's see. I expected Space Erish would have been higher. But this is where I say again, I think because people only had one vote, a lot of people voted for the original of a character. I didn't vote at a bunny too late. Well, you guys got to pay attention to my YouTube, my Discord, my Twitter, literally all the places I put the poll. So, RQ lower than expected. Yeah, there were some where it was man, I'm really actually surprised. But so that's where I'm gonna say it's what this won't tell you is truly how popular characters are overall. Okay? This is, you only get to pick one. So how popular is that one is what it will tell you. It will not tell you for instance, out of Mellison being 8th on this list, how many people who voted in this top portion would have also liked to have voted for Mellison? They also liked Mellison in addition to the unit that they liked. That's what it won't tell you. Oh. Oh, man. Well, no, there's no way. We couldn't get everyone to do it for all the servants in the game. We couldn't. Because what I was thinking is I could literally take the list and be hey, here's a list of all 430 servants or whatever the heck it is that exist in the game. And you go down that list and you respond with whether or not it's favorable or unfavorable. Whether or not you like or dislike the character. That would be really interesting. That would be really interesting to see. I would be really curious because that would give you a little bit more of an acid test over the overall likability and popularity. But the problem is you'd have to have people sit down and answer 400 times. And that is not easy to do. Like, dislike, or neutral? Yeah, you could maybe include a neutral. Break it down by class, true. And yeah, that might be another thing, is you could do all right, of this class, who is the most popular? The thing is, that's going to be heavily influenced by gameplay. If a unit is strong in gameplay, they are more likely to be popular. If a unit is weak in gameplay, they are more likely to be unpopular. I love making arbitrary rankings of characters, right? But see, like, at least this is like, I'm not making any observation as to like how good of a character they actually are. This is just pure data and me giving you guys the data. Who is the favorite male and the favorite female characters? I can tell you flat out, unequivocally, without any shadow of a doubt in my mind, Gilgamesh is the most popular male character. I did my job. Excellent. As long as you did your part. If I was given 430 servants and told to rank them all, I would love to do that shit. Yeah, and that takes forever, so that's not what I'm saying. It would just have to be like a like or dislike or like, you know, neutral or something like that. How did OG Ku do? OG Ku was surprisingly bad. I remember that because where was it? Yeah, OG Ku only got 1 vote. This actually did surprise me. Yeah, he's the only one that even appears. He's the only one that even got a vote. Did Okuni get a vote? Nope. Nope. Space Ishtar with 1. Yep. Yep. Space Ishtar with 1. Ishtar Archer with 4. Now, here's what I'm going to say. Ishtar gang. I feel for you. Because you all have been consumed and devoured by Erish gang. Straight up. And that is apparent when you look at Erish Lancer getting 11 and Space Erish getting 6. Like, I don't blame anybody because I do think there's some recency bias and stuff like this. Like, again, this is why like Draco is so high. Draco, don't get me wrong, while I do think people like Draco, Draco is absolutely so high because of recency bias. Beyond a shadow of a doubt, right? So if you took this same poll and got the same people to vote in it, but you took it like 6 months later, these numbers would all be different. Great problems to get a curb stomped. Yeah. Yeah, and I think, again, I'm not making any observation as to the popularity of Ishtar. I think Ishtar is beloved and popular, but I think when you can only choose one, a bunch of people were just like, well, fuck, I choose Erish. Like, I think that's just really how it goes. You know, poll again in a year and see how it changes? We could. Erish gets more to do in the main story. I think it's literally just a personality issue more than anything. I think it's like basically between Erish and between Ishtar, people prefer Erish's personality overall. So it's like there's interesting things to observe from this, but it is what it is. Nitocris Caster getting 4. Nice. Nice. Like, the funny part for me is, like, the actual Artoria responses, chat, they're all over the place. Like, yeah, there's a bunch of OG warriors, but, like, holy crap, where was it? Oh, I think I hand added these. I didn't. So it's like, you have OG... Berserker and Alter. Sorry, Caster, Berserker, and Alter. Lancer. Arthur. I voted OG Artoria. Yeah, no, that's fine. Artoria Caster, so Castoria, Lalter, Ruler. Oh my god, somebody else voted Bunny with me. Yes! Last I checked, it was just me. I was the only Bunny fan. Which is fine. Like, I just basically said, whatever, I'm just gonna pick one. It is what it is. I have to pick one for the poll anyways. So I basically picked one that I knew was not going to get a whole lot of votes based off of that. I guarantee you, if I took this poll starting today, that number would go up. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. Yeah. And that's, like I said, a lot of it's just recency bias. People really do, like, just kind of move around. There are people that are absolutely, like, adamant. And they're like, this is my favorite. I love this. This is mine. But then there are people that are like, I kind of like this one now. I kind of like this one now. It is the way it is. Found the czar vote. I know this has to be czars. I know it. Yeah, see? Drake, only one vote. Found the creamy vote. Is what it is. Churcher only got one. That hurts me on Drake, but I only got one vote. Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. The second I go, like, you now have 2 votes, this list just completely goes crazy. Completely. Like, I'm pretty sure the second there's 2 votes, like, Melson jumps a bunch, Erish jumps a bunch. Like a bunch of this starts, like, just skyrocketing. Can I vote in this? No, this is already over. Mine would just be John and Jarcher. Yeah, mine would literally be like just different Artorias. I'm gonna vote Harish and Ishtar. I do think you would see a lot more Ishtar votes. Yeah. Comma Ishtar and Ishtar or Mellow. No, Peanut. Not 3, only 2. You have to make a choice. You have to kill one of them. This is MFK. Tama Shark and Tama Cat. Okay, in Avalon's case, we'll only allow 1.5. One of them gets 1, the other gets half. Yeah, half. How many votes did Tama Lancer get? It wasn't a huge amount if I remember correctly, but it was still decent. Yeah, because Tamamo Caster got 5. Lancer got 3. Where's Tama Cat? Tama Cat got 1. Yeah, I think okay. Umu fans, if you really want a conspiracy, the Tamamo number included Koyanskayas. Okay. So Umu fans can put the Tamamo fans on trial and basically be like, well, hold on, you said that she's not a Tamamo. So I definitely did include it, but Uber supremacy. Morgan was in the saber faces. Yeah, the saber faces, like, that was just disgusting, dude. I know there's bias in my community, but holy shit, that's a lot of bias. Like, that's so much that it can't all be bias. Like, even if you assume that this number is like an extra 10% in favor of the saber faces, it's still a landslide. It's just a huge net, yeah. It's just due to Morgan? No, like I said, Artoria literally herself, Artoria would have won it even if you removed every other saber face. So that's Morgan and John and all the rest of them. Just Artoria alone was responsible for 35 of the votes, that's actually kind of nuts. There's really a lot of popular saber faces, yeah. Can you add 1 to Mordred for me? No. That's just because there are like 10 of them. True, but you got to consider that everybody only had the 1 vote. So it didn't matter. People still were voting for one of those 10 variants, right? What percentage of all units are saber faces? Like 18%, right? I don't know. There's what, like 30 saber faces in the game? $35. And then the question is how many servants are in? Do we Bob, do you remember how many servants we put on the list? Because yours was the correct count. I think it's less than 10%. I think it is too, because we have at least 400, so. So it's not even 10% of the results, but yeah, I mean in that regard, I think it was like 10% of the total vote results. Yeah, there you go. Perfectly balanced. So with every saber face they add a new saber face voter, chat. Somewhere out there, there's a saber face for you. Eventually, we'll have 400 of them, and then everybody will be happy. $426? Wait, why 426? Morgan is my favorite FGO servant, so yeah. I get it. It's fine, Orga. You prefer saber faces. I understand. Maybe the FGO 30th Annie, yeah. I just it again, I make no judgment as to like the superiority of this of like any one given unit or character. I found it really interesting. Really interesting to see how spread out it was. The results were not what I expected in that regard, and I'm so happy to see it, frankly. It what this told me, chat, is that a lot of the clumping that you feel in the community is bandwagoning to a degree. It's like, it's not that people don't like the character, it's that people quickly morph into the it's my favorite. It's like it's basically like Homer just sliding back into the bush and then coming out wearing a new outfit, right? Like that's basically what I've noticed happens in the community. It's people just go like, "Oh no, this is a conversation about Erish? Well, Erish is my favorite. This is a conversation about Mellison? Well, Mellison's my favorite. This is a conversation about Morgan? Well, Morgan's my favorite." And then you realize it's just people kind of like switching. And I'm going to say it's not like there's any like limit to it, right? It's not like, oh man, we can only have like one. Oh, I never did one for the grouping of Knights of the Round versus Tamlin. Damn. I would have at least been curious to see that one. It's not too late. Yeah, it's not too late. So there's your... That's weird that it gave a null for them not being part of a group. Okay, Bob's doing it down there. Prime YouTube short. I mean, it's the answer is going to be the Tamlin. I know that. heresy. That's actually closer than I thought. Holy shit, if that's right. That's actually way closer. Way closer. Who's the big knight of the round? Oh, because it's Artoria. Artoria counts for it. All right. Yeah. Yeah, no wonder. No wonder. Artoria is like so many of those votes. Okay. Yeah, that's I was like sitting was like, wow, it's like I didn't expect it to be that much. Yeah, Mordred too. To be fair, Morgan is Tamlin as well. Yep. Yeah, and so it's like both of these numbers are just really inflated. I think if you took out Artoria and Morgan, it's still the Tamlin. The Tamlin still just win. And probably sizably so. So because Mel and Barcast. Barcast was actually not super high on this, if I remember correctly. Yeah, Saber was 3. And it was just Saber. Wait, was UDK on here? Yep, no UDK. Bao got 4, yep. Yeah, which was surprising. Same deal. And so it's like, I think there's definitely things where it's like, if you take Barcast, for instance, I think Barcast probably has a lot of overlap with other characters. Oh, Bob's filtering in. I was like, what the fuck is Bob doing? But yeah, this shows it to you. No Nickelback. You can do any other meme, just not Nickelback. Who wins, Cad? Tristan or Bao? In a fight or popularity? Because Bao absolutely wins in popularity. Castoria and Habitrot are Tamlins by my logic. It's such a weird one given the story. Like, I can make a strong argument that Castoria is not. Habitrot is. Castoria probably isn't. But does she actually have the trait? Mash would be a Tamlin. Yeah, Mash is technically both. Mash is just a wash at that point. No point in including her. Do me a favor and unfilter it though, Bob. And chat, I'm gonna end it here for tonight. Hope you guys enjoyed. I thought this was an interesting one. And like I said, we'll definitely have to do more like this. Ugh. Let me send you all over to Mr. Gotcha Gurus. He is... What is he doing tonight? He's doing some Pokemon. I'm going to send you guys over to there. That way he can't end stream. And again, I hope you guys had a good one. I'll be back tomorrow. We'll be doing more farming. And then, like I said, Wednesday we'll have Ordeal Call 4. So definitely going to be some crazy stuff going on. Thank you guys for being here. If you guys haven't already, check me out on YouTube, Twitter, join the Discord. We're always happy to have you. And yeah, I'll see you guys for the next one. Have a good evening.